on that shit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3, probably, maybe, I don't know. Comment below what episode this is. We lost track. And with me, as my co host and my other pint.
Yeah, I'm back, MFers, for another episode with Geek.
And today, let's talk about our days. Let's step back. Let's talk about our days. How's your day, man? How's your day?
Been lazy as hell, went into a food coma almost before we started. Had a big old sandwich, some cherry Pepsi, a chocolate pie, some Cool
Ooh,
Ranch Doritos, and about 3 cookies.
nice, nice, nice. It's just been one of those days where it's like, I don't want to do anything, but I have to force myself to do stuff. But hey, the show must go
The
on. Am I
laziness
right?
is real. Yes.
The show must go on. And that's why we're doing it right now. So, today we have an amazing topic, we think. And it's something that can be affected by the future of Kingdom Hearts itself. We're going to be naming these characters' weaknesses. And I'll put them right there with explosions.
Yeah, we came up with our own list, and these characters are probably the most controversial characters to talk about with weaknesses, power scaling, etc.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about power scaling in other episodes, but today we're going to be specifically talking about weaknesses.
Yep. These weaknesses are emotional, physical, blah 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 blah. And I'm excited for this episode. This is an episode we've been waiting to do until we're right and ready for this. So you know what? Let's just jump right in, man.
I,
Let's cut all the bullshit. Let's just jump right in, man.
I will say right before everybody listening, this is we're gonna be basing it highly off of current Kingdom Hearts lore, not based off of, "Oh, because they're our favorite character, blah, blah, blah." We're doing this off statistic facts.
Yep. And so if we offend you and we offend your favorite character, honestly, I don't care. So let's get right into it. Um. So up first, the almighty Zeta Flare Duck, Donald. So honestly, the
Oh
weaknesses
gosh.
for Donald is he does just I don't know, he kind of hates kids.
He does though.
He does
Like,
hate
I was oh my gosh, like, you can and just to prove it, not just going outside of Kingdom Hearts with the triplets, because obviously he has his own, like, relationship that's complicated with them,
yeah,
but you look at his first interactions in the entire first game of Kingdom Hearts, his entire interaction with Sora, like, he did not really like him even at the end, like, they're just kinda like, "Alright, you kinda chill, you kinda chill."
ever and his attitude definitely changed when Sora like stabbed himself and we get that Sora don't go and everything, but he did not like Sora for whatever reason. But I think
It's cause he
that's
was a kid.
that's true. I think that's the major weaknesses of him. And another weakness I had too is when he does this is like more physical is his magic reserves are great. He's a great mage, but if he puts too much force into it like Zeta Flare, for example, he's basically KO'd we don't even know how long, honestly. That's
If he's KO'd or just dead because
well,
KH3 made it look like he just flat out died.
Well, no, because because Goofy's seen that before, so he just passes out, but we don't know how long. Because Goofy's like, "Don't do it, Donald." Like he's seen it before, but I
And
think
the other thing, I think and then we could go based off, like, basic weaknesses for a mage and wizard or whatever. Like, obviously, with him being a strict magic user, getting up in his face is also gonna be his weakness.
oh
Like,
yeah,
yes, Donald's no pushover, like, he'll hit you with the stick,
Yeah, but his physical
but
strength is not up to par
he
with.
don't he doesn't have hardly any health,
Yeah,
like
that's more of a gameplay aspect, but like yeah, he doesn't have the defense and strength to go toe to toe with like even the weakest organization member. Like unlike the other guardians who can like hold their own to them.
mhm,
Um but then that's also moving into our next person is Goofy. Goofy's kind of in the same boat,
but it's the
but it's
opposite
different. Yeah.
because his is straight, like, attack and defense, and for people that don't know Goofy's original design, I wish they would've freaking kept it.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Giving him a sword and shield?
That would have been badass. But
Oh
honestly,
my god.
if they do, I feel like they should add Max, but that's a whole nother topic. And I think if Max is added, they should give him the sword and shield. Be like an evolution of Goofy, but besides the point. But honestly, let's let's talk about Goofy's big weaknesses. A
Y
rock. A boulder.
yeah.
His boulder.
It's not a boulder, it's a rock.
Bro. Back when I first played Kingdom Hearts 2, I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead.
Dude, my heart sank.
I was like, no way they just killed off Goofy. My man Goofy.
I'm like, "Who's gonna replace him?" I'm like, "Oh," and then I see Mickey take off the coat, and I'm like, "Oh, let's
Okay,
go.
okay,
Let's go."
that would have been awesome if we got Mickey as a party member. Uh but all joking aside, I think Goofy's
But
main
even then, with the rock, like, it only concussed him for a minute.
yeah. And I think
Dude's dude's got stupid durability,
yeah,
literally stupid durability.
and his attacks are good. Of course, it's not like say like a Keyblade wielder's like attack, but it's still good enough to do damage. And the thing that is a weakness for Goofy is his magic side is he has no magic basically.
No magic and no intelligence.
Yeah.
Like, if you like, throughout all the games, he like, his strongest moves are technically when he teams up with someone. So, like,
Yeah.
Sora and Goofy's combos or Trinity Limit, stuff like that. Like, his strongest abilities come from teaming up with someone
Oh, definitely. And
because he does not have any leadership of his own.
no, he does need somebody because he's a knight, so the knights
Mhm.
are used to getting like
Ordered around.
ordered. So I think that's also another weakness. Like Donald's the same way too. Like yeah, he's smarter than Goofy in a sense, but Goofy and Donald are kind of in that same categories as they're not really leaders per se, and they
Right, and this is where I also say, like, between those 2, like, the opposite between battle IQ and IQ, Donald has more IQ than Goofy,
yes,
but I believe Goofy has a little bit more battle IQ than Donald,
I definitely agree with that.
because
Donald,
his natural stupidity, like, he doesn't think, it's pretty much like Ultra Instinct, he just does whatever he wants to do in the heat of the moment.
yeah, and he uses his shield in way more like offensive moves than say Donald with his staff. And I get that Donald is just a mage and he uses different magic, but he doesn't we haven't really seen an evolution to that magic. He does the same basic spells. Now, if
Outside of
it's
Zeta
yeah,
Flare.
outside of Zeta Flare. But Zeta Flare is also a weakness in itself. Yeah, it's super powerful, but it also KOs him. So it's a drawback. It's like all powerful magic should be though. Trying to think.
And it makes us question, like, on a side note, where he learned that from,
Definitely. I shoot,
but that'll be in another topic.
I probably think just a little side note is I bet Merlin's hiding that stuff up. Fairy Godmother and Merlin are just they taught him that. Definitely. I could see it.
I'm telling you, I think Fairy Godmother is secretly the goddess of KH. I'm putting my
Dude,
foot down with that, like, if she is not the goddess, I do believe, like, there is a high council that overruns like, every Disney universe,
Dude, yeah.
and she is definitely on there,
Yeah, yeah.
like
Just
a high power entity, just observing everything.
yeah. I definitely see that because we're getting off track, but
I
yeah.
know, I know. That's why I said that could be another
It
topic
could be
we
another
could talk
topic.
about. Future episode, write that down,
Theory
write that down.
theory episode coming in
We
hot.
apologize if we get off track, but when our brains go on a rant, it's very hard to backtrack when we're talking about this game, so
Yeah,
bear in mind, we eventually come back to the right track. It
exactly.
just takes us a
It just takes a
moment.
second. Come on. Bear with us, guys. We're new. But
We're new and enjoying the flow. Next character.
so our next character, if we're talking about Donald and Goofy, we got to talk about Mickey, the man himself, the king Mickey. So
And based off current Mickey, hmm,
I
I do believe his only weakness is he tends to wanna do everything on his own. He wants to lone wolf everything.
yeah, and when he don't get me wrong, he's a good leader in a sense,
Mhm.
but he he tries to do it like as you said on his own because even in the graveyard he tries to use Stopza to freeze everybody and that would have took way too much because he's a key player of the Guardians of Light and if he did that then he would have just probably been KO'd just like Donald was. So I think
The,
he's got to get away from
like,
that.
he's also got a little bit of selfish interest in it.
But yeah,
Like, and where I'm coming from with that is, like, going from Birth by Sleep, for example, he was traveling, forcing his will to travel from world to world when Master Yensen gave him a special object to travel without a gummy ship.
definitely. I think he's a bit selfish and I think he's learned from that since his younger days
Well, I don't think
a
he
little bit.
fully learned
No,
from
yeah,
it
no. I'm not saying he learned from it
because in
100%.
Kingdom Hearts 3 alone, he completely forgot Aqua's in the realm of darkness. Like, he told Riku, "I lost track. Oh, no.
Yeah, I do.
How do you lose track of putting someone in the realm of darkness?"
Well, you gotta also remember what he, like, what his mind was, because his mind was also, like, trying to
His
stop
mind ha
darkness.
well, not just that, but, like, even then, in 0.2, his main objective, technically, was to find Kingdom Key D.
Yeah.
He just happened to come across Aqua during that.
All right. I want to say this now. The Mickey hate has got to stop. Mickey did nothing wrong. Side rant. Side rant. For
I'm
all
not,
your
I'm
for
not
all you
saying,
Mickey
like,
haters.
I'm not saying he purposely left her there.
I know. No, I know. But this is for people who hate him and
Oh, yeah,
cuz
the rat haters, as they call them.
he did nothing wrong. Bro did not know Aqua was in the realm of darkness until KH1, until he found her in zero point 0.2. He did not know Aqua was there. He lost track of them, yes, but he did not know. And the
But
only reason he
that's
didn't
also
come
where I
back,
come from of, like, he had a main objective to get
yes,
Kingdom Key D, and he comes across Aqua.
yes. And the reason he didn't go back immediately is because in KH1, the darkness was coming out because of Anthem, the Seeker of Darkness. And then KH2, well, Chain of Memories KH2, the organization was in works. So he had no time to save Aqua until
Not
Kingdom Hearts
not
3.
just that, at the end of KH1, who also locks himself in the realm of darkness.
Riku. So,
Therefore, with someone who is not fully experienced with the Keyblade, Mickey also, like, this is where I say he's kinda selfish,
yeah,
and he's a natural born leader because, like, he ended up he saw Riku, obviously, because they closed the door,
yep.
And so his main objective was to try to protect Riku at all cost.
Yeah, and I think also is this could be all of them though. Some of their weaknesses are their friends. It's more than others, of course, and we'll get into that later. But
Mhm.
that's the other thing why he's kind of selfish because he doesn't want any of his friends hurt and he's bound to put his own life on the line. And
I can relate.
yes, yeah, and I think a lot of us could relate. But definitely that's definitely one of most characters in Kingdom Hearts' weaknesses, honestly.
But, like, and this is just, like, talking, like, minor weaknesses for him because it's, like, in Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC Remind, they finally gave us, like, some of Mickey's true strength,
Yeah,
like, showing him fighting all 13 Xehanort clones at
th-
once,
yeah, and
like, by himself.
yeah, and Sora did not give him a boost. He said basically he was there to say, "Good job, buddy. Keep it up." I hate when people say that,
But,
but
yeah, a lot of people wanna sit here and say, "Sora helped him." It was like, no, Sora didn't help him. Sora was his main encouragement to still fight
yeah,
back. That's where he was able to give his final push to push through and lock the door.
yeah, and but that's definitely some of Mickey's big
But
weaknesses and minor
yeah, it goes
weaknesses.
back to your weaknesses because he was kinda overcoming that weakness, which is where, like, I say it's more so a minor weakness currently, going to the friends, is because, like, Sora's also showing him, like, you can be stronger together, you don't always have to do things on your own.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's pretty much what Sora represented during that scene in Remind,
Hmm.
is he's like, "I'm not alone here."
Yeah. So let's move on to the next character. I think that's a good send off from Mickey. Let's talk about everybody's. I can't say everybody's favorite. Let's talk about Air Squeeze,
Air
Ericus,
squeeze.
Luke Skywalker himself. So let's talk about his
This
weaknesses.
man's got massive grandpa energy.
Oh, definitely. But his, let's be honest, his weakness is he will do anything at all costs to protect the light, and that is a weakness. That is a weakness,
It is a weakness.
and because as let's go back to Mickey for a second. As Mickey said in Kingdom Hearts 2, you have to have light and darkness. They are both, you know, eternal.
Yep.
And but the thing is, Ericus doesn't like he does think that now, let's say, because he's been in Terra for so long.
And
Spoilers,
the
I
other
guess.
thing is, like, if you go it's also like if you start watching the Dark Road scenes,
Yes.
because the reason he is so against darkness is because of the path Xehanort started to walk.
Yes.
What it did to him yes,
And he
all
saw
his
every
friends.
friend die.
I mean, him and Xehanort had to kill one of their closest friends.
Yep. And
And, oh my god, like, Dark Road, I wish
it needs
would
a remake.
not just a remake, I wouldn't even mind, like, needing to play it, turn it into, like, a short movie.
Dude, yeah, that's what I
Like, a sh
mean. It needs a remake like a KH3 back cover type movie remake. All the
it
mobile
doesn't
games
even
need.
like, it wouldn't even need, like, a serious, like, graphic upgrade. Like, yes, because now we have the models of young Xehanort and young Ericus, like, they could use it for a movie. But, like, I wouldn't mind, like, just, like, a manga anime style, like,
Yeah, that would be cool.
animation movie.
Yeah. Would they do it? Of course not. But
Would they make money if they sold it? Hell yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely. But that's definitely one of his major weaknesses is
I
protecting the
I
light.
totally agree. At all
Because
costs, no matter the means. I mean, he was willing to kill Ventus.
yeah, like
on the
he's
spot.
he was willing to kill him without even rationally thinking. Like it was just like, oh, you're a part of you're basically made to save or make the Keyblade. I gotta kill you now. Like what? How did you get to that? How did you get to that? You know?
Ventus was literally the light half of
Yeah.
himself. Like, that's where I don't like, and that's where people also gotta understand of, like, why Ericus at the beginning of Birth by Sleep was so, like, quick for Aqua, "Go after him." Not Terra, Ventus. The whole story of Birth by Sleep. Terra goes out on his own. Ventus, "Oh, I gotta go after Terra."
Yeah.
Aqua, "Go after Ventus." It's
Get
a
make
game
sure
of
he's
cat and
here.
mouse. Bring
And
him back here.
it's it's kind of like I'm not trying to get so off track, but it is like Luke Skywalker in a sense, how he turned like that in the later movies, which
Okay, okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna stop you right
yeah,
there.
yeah. We all know about
You
that.
and I already talked about that because George Lucas shut that down.
Dude.
Even
Anyways,
Mark Hamill himself hated acting that scene.
dude, it that movie's a mess, but we
That
won't
that's
talk
where I was
about
saying
that.
I was gonna stop you right there because that's a whole other can of whoop ass
Dude.
we'll have to get into in another episode if
But
we decide to branch off from Kingdom Hearts.
yeah, that's but definitely if we're talking about Ericus, definitely that. And I also think part of that is, yeah, I get his past, but you gotta let
But
that,
this is
like,
Ericus represents letting your past consume you.
yeah,
His fears of what happened to his friends, everybody dying, him losing Xehanort to the darkness as well, technically speaking. Like he had this fear of losing to the darkness no matter what.
yep. And
It's why he was so strict
yeah, and that's a
on
major,
Terra.
yeah, that's a major, like, weakness he has is because you can use darkness and still be light. And that's why he did not, like, if we're thinking about the mastery, their
Mark of
mastery,
Mastery.
yeah, all they had to do was hit light balls, but then Terra used the darkness for 1 second and then even controlled it to the sense, but he
Well,
still did not.
the dark balls, it was the dark balls and then Aqua and Terra had to do like a little sparring match.
Yeah, but
Because
eh,
during the dark or the light balls, Xehanort started
corrupted them, of
manipulating
course.
them.
Yeah, but
And I thought that like, as much as, like, yes, that's a tutorial and blah, 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 people overlook that so quickly because it's literally the very beginning.
mhm,
Xehanort was not only testing, like, who would give into the darkness, he's also testing, like, who would be willing to overcome their weakness, like,
yeah,
because as we're saying about Ericus, what was Ericus's first reaction? Like, he freaked out.
yeah. He was like, "Why? Like, what is happening?" And I
But
think
if you noticed Aqua, Ventus, and Terra, like,
they were calm and
they
just
w
like,
Terra was
"Let's do it."
probably the most calm.
Yeah,
Shockingly enough, Terra was the most calm because Aqua was, like, wanting to protect Vin, but not in the sense of Ericus. It was
yeah.
more so, like, as the friend, like, gotta make sure he's okay.
As a type
But
like
Ventus,
mother figure.
yes, yes. And that's why Terra was like, "He can take care of himself. He's trained just as hard as us. What you think he is?"
Yeah, and that's definitely a weakness for Ericus. It's the fact that he's too focused on the light that he forgets that,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I can still use darkness and still be light, like Terra does, like Riku does, etc.
Terra, though, well,
Well,
who's our
we'll
yeah,
get into
we're getting
Terra.
off track.
We'll
Yeah,
get
we'll get
into
into
Terra.
Terra. He's on this list, people, don't you
Yes.
worry.
Um, let's shift gears outside of those and let's shift into the Seesaw
Let's
trios.
yes.
Let's start with Shion. Um,
She's too oblivious.
yeah, I feel like also Shion hasn't like she got days, but it's that the fact that she knows her
She's
purpose, and she did fight for it for a little bit, but then, decided, yeah,
But then again, it's also coming down to, like, where she's at currently.
yeah,
And it like, let's say, like, we add the data Shion for strength-wise and stuff like that. Yes, Shion herself is a great adversary. Like, she is good on her own,
yeah,
but one of her major weaknesses is manipulation.
yeah.
She can get manipulated so freaking quick.
She can, and that's we saw it in Days. We saw it in
And
Cage
3,
3.
like, because she was back on the other side all of a sudden.
And
Again, being controlled by Xemnas.
yeah, and I think that's partly because she's a replica made by Vexen.
Mhm.
So it's like that data inside of her, and that's also a major weakness is that she can be manipulated by just code. It's
Just
not code, but like,
it but triggering something.
yeah,
Like, people can manipulate with her heart and mind so easily.
until we find out that her friends and everything, that's what breaks it. And yes, I understand that, but that's still a
But the thing
weakness.
is because of her manipulation, and her friends know this, Axel and Roxas, which we'll get to them in a minute, but those 2, they know this, therefore, where they are at in 3, they were so quick on defending her,
Yep,
like, because they know how vulnerable she is mentally.
yep, definitely. And that's a major weakness. And I think, I
She
hope,
cannot have a solo career, I guess you could call it.
yeah, she definitely needs somebody by her side at all times.
Yes.
And I think she will grow out of that eventually because, they can, everybody's getting their own hearts, which is a whole nother topic we can talk about. But
And not again, not just that, but it's like her having, like, the the pretty much the exact image of young Kyrie in her memories and blah, 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 like, she's gonna eventually evolve into her own person like Naminé.
yeah, definitely. And we can already see it at the end of 3, how she's
Mhm.
evolving, and that her weaknesses will become gone if she keeps that up. And
If, though, we don't
yeah,
know what kinda
still an
character
if.
development they have in store at the moment.
Yeah.
Hell, we don't even know if she's gonna be alive at the end of the series.
Shoot, we don't even know when's Kingdom Hearts 4 coming out? When's Missing
What
Link
you
coming out?
mean, Misty Link?
But that's also
Another topic for another time.
that's also tying into like, so let's say Axel. Axel's the same way though. He's not so much manipulated by like code, but he can be manipulated by his friends.
Okay, so it goes back from my perspective, it goes back to where you said friends are a weakness for a lot of these characters.
Yes.
In a sense, yes. But for me, Axel is it is the friends, but slightly different. So because we all know Axel technically was a science experiment as Lee
Yeah.
and became Axel. He only had one friend.
Yeah. Well,
And the problem with that is when he met Ventus and then now Roxas for him, he bonded with them because of their memories that they share and their hearts that they share with one another. And he was afraid to lose it. He's also afraid that people are going to forget him. It's why he's always trying to be like,
the funny guy.
uh, yes, because he wants to be remembered for something.
And I think that's also a part of like PTSD for him because of Subject
Yes.
X. Because remember, in during that time of them being in Radiant Garden, they made friends with Subject X, which that's a that's a theory episode in itself. Who is Subject X? And but they both like Aiza and Lee, let's say that, they both
Mhm.
bonded with Subject X, so he has those memories, but then Subject X just disappeared one day. And I think that's like him being hurt, and that's why, especially why they both joined the organization, is try to understand what happened to her, but they found out nothing. So it's like he tries to stay relevant in that sense because of that reason.
Yeah, and nobody remembers Experiment X
Yeah. And
because and he's the only one that does. And it's like and to me, that hits me on a personal level because it's like not to sound all depressing, but, like, I had told you my grandma had passed away this year,
yeah,
and, like, her passing away was, like it was a hurt, but what hurt more is when I called my siblings, they had no memories of her. They were both like, "We didn't really hang out with her that much." I was the only one that had any memories of my grandma, whether they be good or bad. I was the only one that had a bunch of memories of her, and that hurt me more.
yeah,
Because I'm just like, yes, we're not perfect, we're human, but it's just like you gotta have at least something.
yeah,
And I don't I finally told my dad, I was just like, I'm gonna remember my grandma how I want to.
yeah,
She may not have been a perfect woman, but she was still my grandma.
yeah,
And that's pretty much how Axel like how we're talking about Experiment X and Axel. It's just like he was so hurt by no one remembering X that he's just like, well, what are people gonna think of that about me when I die?
yeah. And that's I has he got
Granted
better about it? Yes.
oh, hell yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. His character development alone, just as him, has skyrocketed over the years
Yes.
and over the games because, like, he's evolved into a Keyblade wielder, 1. 2, he also is aware that's, like, even when he dies, he's not gonna get remembered as this joker, funny guy. Got it memorized, blah, blah, blah. He's gonna get remembered for who he was, both in life and death.
Yeah.
Because
And
now that Ventus is back, Ventus will remember him as Lee,
mhm,
Roxas will remember him as Axel, and Sora will remember him for his sacrifices that he did throughout 2 and 3.
yep. And if we're still talking about Axel, we do gotta talk about his battle. Like he is a great fighter. Like, don't get me
Oh my
wrong. Don't
god.
get me wrong. He's a great fighter. But if we're going back to Keyblade fighter, he is still one of the weakest because he's just not experienced enough. Duh.
Not experienced enough, that's why I do believe they gave him the ability to turn his Keyblades back into his Chakrams.
Yeah. And
Just in case he gets put back into a wall, he can just transform those out and do something he's more comfortable with to where he knows his way around them.
yes. And I get that he's had a lot of experience with fighting, blah, 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 but it's a different weapon and he's not used to it yet. Yes, he went to go train with Kyrie, but it's still not like, if we're talking about, like,
Mm,
say, Sora and Riku fighting, right? They were training
yeah,
since they were kids with a sword, and
yes,
so they knew that combat wise.
yes,
And then being thrown into Kingdom Hearts 1, where they had that
to pretty
fighting
much
real life
yep, they
experience.
had to they had to act off natural instinct,
Yes.
and that's where Lee has more of an advantage just a tad because of his experience compared to Riku and Sora.
Yes.
Is he has a naturally high battle IQ
Yes.
because of his experience. So, yes, he may not be good with the Keyblade, and it's really gonna come down to, like, for him, his lack of experience with the blade, as you said,
Mhm.
because he has good reaction speed,
Yeah.
but again, not with the Keyblade. He wields the Keyblade like he would his Chakram.
Yep. And yes, that is a cool way to wear it. I'm not gonna lie. It's
Not
not
gonna
a
lie
practical sense.
not gonna lie, they shoulda just gave him too many dagger Keyblades.
Like they should have. I do. I think he should have got a Keyblade. that's a topic for another time.
So for me personally, I do believe Axel deserved one, but,
But
like, I needed him to change a little bit of his style because even in Kingdom Hearts 3 and Remind, like, the whole Roxas Xion Axel combo, what does he do?
he takes his
He
keyblade out.
he goes
Yeah.
no, he goes
Oh
to the
no, I mean like
chakrams,
he takes it out and then changes it. That's what I meant.
and then he does the fire combo while Xion and Roxas are doing the Keyblade combo, and to me, it would have been more meaningful if Axel now as a Keyblade wielder, making them all 3 of them one,
Yeah.
because that's also why I believe he deserved to be one, because he was the only one in a trio that was not a Keyblade wielder.
Yeah.
Because even Kyrie became 1 and 2,
Yeah.
technically speaking.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Um
to me, it was only natural that he was gonna eventually become one,
yeah, it was.
story-wise. But, like, in that moment, that fight specifically in Kingdom Hearts 3, I do believe Axel shoulda used more of his Keyblade rather than his Chakrams.
And
Like,
honestly,
I
the
get it, they
way
were trying.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the way Axel got his keyblade, I think it was supposed to be more funny, but I feel like they
It
shouldn't have
fits him, though.
I feel like they shouldn't have done it like that. I think it should have been more
Just look at the
memorable.
wrist.
Yeah, I think it should have been more memorable, honestly. Like when he saved Sora, that would have been a perfect time to have him had a keyblade. And I get it.
Oh, and I kn oh, like, oh my gosh, that for me, but that's the thing, is like, yes, that's what we want, but the thing is Axel's all about us remembering key moments from
Yeah.
him. We all remember where he freaking got his Keyblade. Is it just the flick of the wrist or something? Oh,
But I definitely
because
think
he is
that
more of a chillax character. Because one weakness he does not have is he tries to keep a very cool head in tense situations.
yeah.
'Cause but the thing is he also okay, another weakness, he gets a little cocky.
Yeah, especially going back to like the Zay or not Zimnis fight.
Mm,
Dude, you I don't know why you thought you could do that to Zimnis, the big guns, and we saw that he got destroyed because of that. Like he got one tap by Zimnis. Well, technically like 1,000 tapped by lasers, but that's besides the point. One move. I think bro died. So
don't worry, I died for a moment.
uh, he's back.
Just a little bit. My phone had a stroke, people, it's okay.
But yeah, I he got too cocky in the Zimnis fight. He
'Cause what I was gonna bring up was the Marluxia fight in Chain of
yes,
Memories.
he also got cocky
Like,
then
he
too.
the way he tried to challenge Marluxia because, like, yes, Axel was sent to exterminate the traitors.
Yep,
He got Vexen, Sora took care of Larxene, and then Axel was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna take it upon myself to go after their leader,
yeah,
Marluxia," which in term of versatility, agility, and strength, Marluxia had a little bit more of an edge.
yeah. I agree.
Not to mention Ax Marluxia also had more range.
Hmm.
Not to mention Marluxia has oh, shut up. Sorry.
Yeah,
Marluxia has illusions.
yeah.
He can create illusions to distract the enemy, and it's just like, if he would have done that during his fight with Axel, like, Axel would have had to take a step back and use more range attacks.
I definitely think
Like
that.
and that's where he got too cocky, and of course, Marluxia took that to his advantage when Sora came in, and he's like, "Oh, well, I guess we're fighting now,"
Yeah,
because he thought he could take on Sora at full power. And that wasn't even full powered Sora.
No, that was broken Sora. Speaking of Sora, let's talk about the opposites of Sora. Sora's nobody. Let's talk about Roxas.
False hope. Everybody's waiting for it.
So, Roxas, like like we said in many characters now, his friends are still his weakness. Let's be honest. His friend, like, also speaking of his friends, is this was more in two instead of three because Roxas throughout two decided to get along with Sora, but his hate for Sora in two was still a major weakness. And honestly, I think he's kind of over it, but it's always going to be that
Honestly,
part.
I don't believe his true hatred came out. Like, yes, in 2, it was there at first, but, like, after their fight, it was more like, okay, Roxas was starting to realize, but I believe Roxas's true anger came out and recoded.
Yeah. And that's because I feel like the data version of him is something else, honestly.
Well, it's not just that, it's like, even though it was like that whole game is ran off of like the data versions of characters, it means that's what Roxas was feeling
Yeah.
in the moment. Like, that's what Roxas was truly feeling. That means it was his memories, his skills, everything.
Yeah. And
Roxas truly felt like that, and Recoded Roxas, he didn't care.
yeah.
He was wanting to hurt Sora's feelings.
Yeah. And that's a major thing that Roxas had. Does he still have it in three? I feel like he still has a little bit of it, honestly. Because it's always going to be a part of him, honestly, I think. Because,
I don't believe he has as much hatred because you also gotta go back to the conversation in Dream Drop Distance.
yes, I don't think it's hatred. I think it's more jealousy at this point.
It has evolved to jealousy more so now because it's like Roxas wants to kinda be his own person, and everybody's always saying, "Oh, you're just Sora's nobody. You're just Sora's nobody."
Yeah. And I think that will, of course, change once he
I
becomes,
do b Yeah, and I do believe you're c blah, 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 blah. You are correct there. And more so going back to when, like, he comes back in Kingdom Hearts 3 towards the end,
yes,
like, he
he
he's
trusts
not
Sora.
really show Yes, that's where it is. It's more like, yes, he there is that slight jealousy there, but that's where you and I have talked about before outside of podcast
Yeah.
of rock we need more of what the trios are doing outside of the games now.
Yes, I
Like,
agree.
if they did more of the spin-offs, you could just do the spin-offs and have the games for those characters together doing what they're doing, because obviously Master Yin knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
but we as players don't. We're just like, "Oh, they're going to do their thing, probably enjoying that everybody's back together again," but it's like the war is still not over.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's also tying into our next characters, too, what they're
Well,
doing.
were there any other notable weaknesses for Roxas, though?
Honestly, jealousy, hatred.
Outside of his jealousy and hatred, but again, that's only for Sora. You take Sora out of the picture, what other noticeable weaknesses does Roxas have? And honestly, I do believe it's again a little bit tied to the same thing of Mickey, selfishness.
Yeah.
Because if we go back to Days, towards the end when he started realizing who he was and stuff, and he's just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do things my way.
He's definitely selfish because of his friends, and
Mhm.
that is
And
a
it
major
it
weakness.
leads to his downfall because he's not thinking clearly. I do believe his anger is a huge weakness.
Yes, his blood I was gonna say bloodlust, but yeah, his rage
Yes.
and anger is a huge huge weakness. And it's to the point where it's the reverse of, say, somebody we have in the here in a bit. But
Because
that's definitely a
he
major.
prime example, let's because again, we've seen what he is in Kingdom Hearts 3, don't know much beyond that, but if we go to Days, his Riku fight,
Yeah,
he started getting pissed, and, like, yes, he was getting pissed and was able to outpower Riku, but as soon as Riku cooled off and was just like, "Screw it, giving into the darkness,"
yeah,
Roxas couldn't do a damn thing,
yep.
and
But
it's just like, that was the huge power level difference because the problem with anger, and Geek, you and I can both say this,
mhm,
yes, it gives you that power surge, but it has the biggest downfall once it leaves your body.
yeah, I agree.
You you lose all your strength when that anger leaves you, and I'm just like, cause I used to have anger issues, I know what it did to my body, that's why I try so hard to control what I say and do.
Um, but speaking of like, oh, that is just his. That's definitely those major weaknesses that he has.
Mhm. The Yeah, cause I didn't wanna, like, get off of Riku yet because I had the anger in, my head of, like, his weakness. But, moving on,
Yeah.
who's next on our list?
And next we have. Let's move on from the sea salt and let's go on to the wayfinders. And honestly, wayfinders, Aqua is more a her major weakness is herself. Let's be honest, it's herself. As we saw in Remind too, it's that dark part of herself that she
But
faces, but she still has
it's
PTSD.
I don't believe it's PTSD, it's Ericus's teaching.
Yeah,
With him being so engulfed with protecting the light at all cost, it created a fear in Aqua about her darker half.
yep,
To where, like, she started seeing dead people. But
yeah,
no, she was so scared, and especially with the realm of darkness pretty much feeding into your worst fears, that's when Anti-Aqua became real.
yeah,
She became what she feared, and that
and
was giving into the darkness. And I also believe, like, honestly, going on statistics, she is not extremely fast. Like, she is fast, but not, like, as fast as other characters on this list, if that makes sense.
that yeah, that's
I'm not no, because like,
yeah,
her speed is really good, I'm not saying that, but, like, comparing to characters like Mickey, compared to characters like Roxas, and I mean, obviously, Riku and Sora are on a different level, but, like, the Wayfinder specifically, Ventus is the speedster of the trio.
yeah,
But where I'm getting at with her speed, like, yes, she has great reaction time, but the reaction time she lacks, she does have a strong durability. Primary example I'm coming from here is Birth by Sleep. When she gets blasted into the ground with the keyblades, but she gets up and her first reaction was to send a barrier to Terra.
yeah,
Like, she may not have incredible speed, but her durability, c picks up the lack of speed,
yeah. I agree.
'cause her magic is obviously her greatest strong suit, but when it comes to a head-on-head Keyblade battle, she does lack a little bit in that aspect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Mhm.
And, like, again, Birth by Sleep, the final fight between her and Vanitas. Mickey ended up helping her partway through that fight. And that was still with the broken keyblade. Like, that's where people were like, "Well, she was strong enough to break or fight someone with a like, half completed X blade." I'm like, "Yes, that's a
Well,
feat in itself."
no, hang on,
But
because technically she didn't like, yeah, she she was still fighting, not like a broke she was fighting the X-Blade, but what because it wasn't broken until Aqua broke it.
well, no, what I'm saying that is during that fight, Ventus and Vanitas were also fighting in the mind. That's why it wasn't fully complete yet.
Ah, yeah, but
Or no, wait, hold on.
no, you're twisting it because
Hold on.
it was completed and
It's
then it was
Yes,
broken in
that
the
time it
mind.
was completed, but this that's where I'm getting confused at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
get it.
let me clarify here. It's because my confusion is, like, obviously, I prefer Ventus's final battle over Aqua's, but this is the part that always confused me with that fight, getting a little off track. That was technically classified as a complete X-Blade, right?
Yep.
How come if you sit here and destroy it with Ventus, how does it still become complete if Ventus destroys Vanitas in the mind?
So that fight happens after the fact that when Aqua damages it because we see that it's completed and then Aqua, using the strength of her friends, was able to shatter it. And then that gave Ventus the opportunity to come and fight Vanitas in that sense, in the mind, and break
But
it
the thing
completely.
is, Vanitas before right before that fight, Vanitas is sitting here saying to Ventus, he's like, the Keyblade, the X Blade's made of your heart too, idiot." And he's like, they have to merge together for it to become one. That's where I get confused at because if Aqua technically breaks it, it would still be confusing in the mind because it's like Vanitas isn't acting like it was broken.
What do you mean?
That
Because
Vanitas confronting Ventus, he's
he
not
even,
acting like it's broken.
yeah, he does. He says our
It's incomplete.
our merge wasn't completed because of what Aqua did. Is because of her shattering it.
I don't remember him saying that.
It you got like because we got to think of context is it because what happened was Vanitas went inside and basically took control of uh Ventus and they merged more of a Ventus basically kicked Vanitas out of the driving seat. I said that backwards, I think. But that's why their merge was quote unquote completed and then Aqua cut cut that merge into being incomplete still. You kind of see where I'm coming up.
Yeah, I'm like my brain is sitting here trying to
We got
mm,
off
like
way on topic.
go through the video in my scene. But this is where like the Wayfinder trio,
All has
like
this
all
same.
three, they all have their own mysteries still to unsolve because we're mainly following the Destiny trio, obviously. But like the Wayfinder trio, I still had like unanswered questions
Yeah,
between certain conversations and stuff, and I'm like, it's where I start over analyzing shit, and that's where I'm kind of like, okay, why did this happen then?
yeah, and we'll we'll kind of venture off right here to we could say Ventus weaknesses is because we are coming on that hour mark already. Um, Ventus's weakness is kind of himself again as Vanitas. That's his weakness. Let's be honest. Um,
Ventus, I believe, would be um more so he's trying always to prove himself
Yeah.
because he has so much self-doubt that he's able to do anything without the help of Aqua and Terra.
Yep.
And, like, he was the only character, like, at first that was willing to be like, "Well, if I turn, just kill me."
Yeah.
Like, Sora was willing to kill himself. He didn't wanna put that burden on anybody else.
Yeah.
Ventus was just like, "If I turn, I need you all to stab me.
Yeah.
Y'all willing to do that?"
That's definitely a weakness for Mantis.
He he is hard he can't do the tough things.
Yeah.
Like, that's why Aqua and Terra are able to do the harder situations
But also speaking
because
about
he's not
Terra,
what?
oh, I was like just trying to speaking about Terra too. We his weaknesses, yes, they all got manipulated, but let's be honest, Terra got more manipulated than any of them because he even got manipulated by he got manipulated by Xehanort. He got manipulated by Maleficent. He got manipulated by a lot of darker figures in the three trios. And that's still
Well,
a
yeah,
weakness.
because Riku's biggest weakness was he gave into the darkness way too easily
Yes.
when it
They
came to protecting his friends, and, like, obviously, we could sit here and say, "Oh, Riku did the same thing." Not necessarily.
yeah. Riku more just thought that that was the only way to keep his friends safe and went like that. Terra did more of a um
He honestly wasn't thinking logically.
yeah,
Terra is such a blunt thinker.
yeah,
Like, he doesn't think before he acts.
yep,
He
yeah, I
just
agree.
does. And that's where a lot of people started using, like, his corrupted heart, like, Maleficent was able to just tap the darkness and manipulate him.
Yep,
And that is a huge weakness for Terra.
yeah,
Not now so much, because we
yes,
still need to see where Terra is now. Because maybe Terra has a lot of self-hatred for everything he put his friends through.
yeah,
We don't know where Terra is at as an individual currently. We know he's back, but the other thing is, like, he may be struggling with that, or hell, he may be in a full redemption arc right now because who else was locked up in his mind and his heart?
yeah,
Ericus.
yeah,
They could have had so many conversations within the heart because it was just 2 of them. We don't know what kinda teachings they gave each other, honestly.
yeah. And
Alright.
switching over. So Kyrie's very easy. She's
She just needs more light.
yeah. She just needs more training. Um, she's Nomura loves to make her the damsel in distress, and I hate it. Honestly, Kyrie needs more character development in
That
that sense,
yes.
and that's a major weakness. Let's be real. It's more writing.
He's trying like,
It's
and
more
I'm not
writing.
saying this is true, but I believe he is trying so hard to make, like, a Sakura from Naruto wannabe style, like, thing right now because Sakura was like, "Oh, come save me, Sasuke."
Yeah, and
And
it's more just
I'm not
writing.
saying yeah, Kyrie, like, she's getting there. It's, like, right there because Melody of Memory started redeeming her
Yeah,
just a tad, and that's where I'm like, "I needed that. You needed to cross that line. It was right there."
yeah,
Because
definitely.
to me, like, she is one of the weakest Keyblade wielders currently.
Yeah,
Currently. I will put that in all caps. Currently.
she has the
We just
best summon
need
though, Sora.
oh, duh.
But yeah, that's definitely her major weakness is her writing, and switching off her Kyrie because That's really
There's
all
not
her
really
weakness.
much,
Yeah.
yeah, we can't really talk about Kyrie much because, like, we don't have much to really go on based off of the few things that she's actually done.
Yeah, she's the weakest, and her writing just is her weaknesses. Um,
Yeah, we're
Xehanort,
gonna s yeah, I was gonna say because I know we were moving to the Destiny trio. For all listeners, we just added Xehanort at more the top of the list, saving the 2 best for last, obviously.
yeah. Um,
Ze
Xehanort's big weakness is manipulation. Let's like in a sense,
well,
in a sense that he got manipulated by the masters, but it is the master of masters, so I get that. It's
yeah,
more
that
not a weakness, but it's more of a
he was also young.
yeah,
Master of Masters took his young intelligence and young maturity and used it to twist Xehanort. But the other thing, like Xehanort, very smart, very detailed in his planning. The only thing is he he expects everything to go his way.
yeah,
And the problem, his weakness is Sora,
yeah,
technically, because you add a little stupid in your plans and it's never gonna go your way. Our boy Sora, he on the special side of things. I love his innocence at times.
yeah. Well,
It's great.
speaking of Sora, let's talk about his weakness, because his weaknesses are his friends, and
That's one of his biggest weaknesses, and I
that
was so glad and beautifully written in Dream Drop Distance where they practically used that.
yeah against him,
Yep.
and we could talk about this for another 20 minutes, but sadly we don't
Just
got
between
time for that.
Sora and Riku alone, we could talk about strengths and weaknesses forever. That's why one of these episodes is gonna be an in-depth battle of who would actually win between Sora and Riku. Like, you and I will probably be at each other's throats during
Yeah,
that episode,
definitely.
but it's gonna be a good episode. So let's finish some things off with Riku, which Riku currently, like, obviously at the beginning and even Kingdom Hearts 2, he had a crap ton of weaknesses.
Yeah,
In Kingdom Hearts 3, though, he has definitely compensated some of those weaknesses, obviously using the darkness to his advantage
yes, he definitely
and
made it his
using it
strength.
for light. He has become the Kingdom Hearts Grey Jedi.
Yeah,
um, right now, I do believe his weakness is not being able to go on without Sora, honestly.
yeah, I think he puts I yes, I get
Because
that's his best
Sora is
friend,
pretty much, yes.
but he's too much, I guess, dependent on Sora's light. And don't get me
Yes.
wrong, I get that, but he needs to, because like that's another weakness is he's not a leader. Because let's be honest, in that Keyblade Graveyard fight, he kind of, because Mickey was saying we need to retreat. Both Aqua and Riku says we can't do that. We need to step forward, and that wasn't. I don't think that was the right call, honestly. Being like a
Well,
leader,
okay. So Riku does have more leadership qualities than most of the side characters. I do believe he has more leadership skills than Mickey just because of his natural battle intelligence on observing everything.
yeah,
But when it comes to thinking outside the box, Riku tends to think too much logically
yeah,
instead of following more of his heart. That's another weakness,
yep,
which obviously in Dream Drop Distance, he's like, I got to start following my heart more. Like, that's what I did. I decided to take the leap of faith and pretty much follow what my heart wanted. But Riku's never really done that. So it kind of throws him off.
And yeah, I agree with that.
I could say what I want, chat. You all could sit here and start blowing up the comment section, blah blah blah. Riku's my boy. I could say what I want about him.
And that's definitely those major flaws that Riku has. And honestly, I don't think, I honestly don't think it'll change much because of Riku's determination to go get Sora, being that side of it. It's,
But in retrospect, this is where I kind of contradict myself. Is Riku was actually the one to let Sora go.
yeah,
Like Mickey was the one saying, "Sora, if you go," and Riku was the first one to sit there and be like, "No, we need to let him do this. He
yeah,
is following his heart." And that's
and
where Riku's like he's learning.
yeah,
But
he's
the
not there
thing
yet.
is, yes, he's not fully there. That's why I'm curious on his character development in 4
Yeah, I am too.
because the other thing it's like, because it's only been a week, technically speaking, between 3 and 4, right?
It's
Of
been a
when the game
year.
starts.
It's been a year.
Was it a year?
Yeah, we got the flash forward year at the end of three to remind.
Gosh, I have like 3 different games in my head. I gotta
Yeah, it's been a year since Sora disappeared, and they still have nothing. But we know.
well, not necessarily because of Melody of Memory.
Well, that's what I mean. It's been a year since. Um,
I thought it like for Sora, wasn't it like a shorter time frame?
so in in the trailer, it said he's been at Quadratum for for a week or something like that.
Yeah, that's where I was getting my 7 days
But
from.
it's not in the real world. It's been a year for not real, but
Yeah,
reality.
yeah, that's where I'm getting my because like, a year I've heard that too. Where are the dots? Where can I connect them? That's where it was,
Yeah.
because, like, I remember watching the trailer, and she specifically said, You've been here for 7 days," which, my brain went Kingdom Hearts 2 with Roxas for being Roxas for 7 days,
Yeah.
and because obviously he's kinda in, like, a purgatory Shibuya,
Yeah.
but it makes me question, like, how much slower time is going for Sora mentally, because if I only was going for a week and found out that it's technically been a year, I would lose my freaking mind.
Yeah.
I am curious on how they are gonna have Sora's mentality at the beginning of 4, just for the simple fact of, like, time lapsing. And, like, the whole reason he freaking left was to save Kyrie one more time, and obviously for people that have played 3, sorry for spoilers, when he sat there and did it again, he was warned the first time, "You try to do this again, you ain't leaving."
And that's a major weakness for Sora. Is
He's
yes, his
not afraid
friends,
to sit there. Yeah. Yep.
but honestly, it's Kyrie. Kyrie is his weakness. And yes, I know we're gonna get tons of hate for that from,
He's a simp.
but he puts Kyrie above his friends because in three he says, "My whole journey started with Kyrie." Sorry, Soriku fans, but it his journey started
You're
with
gonna get
her.
us canceled before episode 10, damn it.
And it's fine. Um, but his journey started with her, and he basically killed himself. Let's see, one time,
And
two
Kingdom Hearts
times,
1,
3 times. Like he killed himself basically 3 times to save this girl. And then when he saw her die, it made honestly, I think he should have raged. But that's besides the point. I
dude, oh my god, rage is an understatement. That's the moment we needed to see some dark Sora right there.
yes,
Oh my god.
but it that's his major weakness. Is yeah, he cares about his friends, and he doesn't want anything to happen to him. That's why he saved everybody the first time. But then once Kyrie died and he saw it, he's like, "No, I I'm done. Like I'm risking my life. Like I will go save her, and I don't care about the consequences
Right.
about myself."
And before all the guys in the comments start hating on us, don't sit here and think us as guys in a relationship wouldn't do the same for our girl.
Yeah.
Like, we would burn the world if it came down to protecting. Like, don't get us wrong. We're just talking about the writing here.
Yep. And that's a major thing is he puts too much pressure on himself for
To
Kyrie
protect
to
her.
protect Kyrie and to protect his friends. And
And that's where where we were coming from with Kyrie's weakness pretty much being bad writing because Sora is being held back.
yeah, and it's it's will he change it? I don't think so. And honestly, it's
I I think it'll start changing when we start seeing Kyrie get stronger.
yeah, and I think it will be like Kyrie can take care of herself, and I don't need to protect her like that. But if
Because
something
it's gonna
happens to
come
her,
down to pretty much it's gonna come to a point where and this is how I hope it will happen, is Sora will be fighting something. Something. He gets pushed to his limit, and Kyrie comes in with her new founded power and saves him.
yeah, and I
And he
honestly I think
see
that will
yeah.
happen. But as right now,
I just hope it's not something cheesy, like she just comes in and shoots one bullet and the creature's dead. I'm like, "No, no, we weakened it."
yeah, but honestly that's a big that is Sora's weakness is
Yeah,
Kyrie and his friends. That's like the only weakness he has really is because power wise, he's one of the strongest, if not the strongest guardian outside of like
right.
Mickey and Riku. But
So, like
he puts too much faith in his friends and not himself. And
mhm,
yes, he has got better about that after um the whole final world type experience, but it's still a major weakness afterwards.
right. So, on closing notes, like, obviously, even our favorite characters have some notable weaknesses that could hinder them from growing, but this is only currently.
Yeah.
Like, this is where they're all at individually, currently, mentally, power scaling, everything, like, because a lot of their weaknesses are within the mind, like, all of them struggle with something mentally differently,
Yes.
and if they would just overcome that, they would grow immensely powerful.
Yep. And I agree. And
And if there are any other weaknesses that we
yes.
may have missed for the characters that we spoke about, or if there's a character that you wanted us to talk about but we didn't, put their weaknesses down, and then maybe we could come out with a part 2 of weaknesses and add other characters.
Yeah. And also like going off of that, I want to start doing like we ask a question in the comments answer if they reach this far in the episode. You better.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Uh, uh, if you want that, I'm gonna be coming up with some really awesome questions,
Okay, I
like we
got
did for
one
the
for this one then.
auditions.
I
Yeah,
got
you
one.
do it.
Well, hang on. But besides the point. Um okay. I asked this on our Discord the other day. Follow it. The link's right there.
It's down below.
Soul Eater. Is it a Keyblade? That is your question. Answer it in the comments. We will
Yes,
not answer it, but we will be watching the comments.
I
Um,
will answer it. It is. Fight me, comment section.
I I am about to fight you, but that's besides the point. But like,
Epis Episode 11. Geek vs. Aragorn, who will win?
um, but as always, like, comment, and subscribe.
And we will see you in the next episode of what are we called again?
Couple of Half Pints. And as always,
Why did I say I was gonna say 2.5 pints.
oh my gosh. Anyways, as always, stay geeky.